Hey guys, the left has embraced an angry, violent mob, and that mob has declared war on you. Pastor Joe Fox, cue the intro. Alright, so Antifa. If you haven't heard of them, look them up. Antifa has declared war on what they label as fascists. And fascists, what they call fascists, you and I call Americans. If you disagree with feminism, gender politics, racial politics, or if you identify as a capitalist, you are labeled a fascist in these people's eyes. All right, you and I would label a fascist as a Nazi, a racist, someone who wants to perpetuate genocide on another group of people, a deliberate genocide, not denying them free health care, but a real genocide. And these anti-fascists, Antifa they call themselves, have said that if you meet their definition of a fascist, you don't have a right to free speech. You don't have a right to participate in civil society. You don't have a right to a job. They don't believe you should be allowed to raise children. They have made statements to the effect that children would be better off dying, being murdered, run over by cars, than be raised by parents that these people deem unworthy. Of course, anti-fascists are almost universally young people without children, obviously. But anywho, and what's scary about them, or maybe not scary, but why you should take them seriously is because the left is taking them seriously, and the left is almost being reverential to these punks, because that's what they are. They're punks. They're just young street thugs, angry, unhappy millennials who are looking for some way to rebel now that all the easy rebellions are no longer rebellious. But the left is taking them very, very seriously and giving them a lot of deference and respect, and acting like their concerns and even their tactics are legitimate. And these people, I heard about them on NPR. I've had to reshoot this video a couple of times. I'm sorry it's self-shot right now. It's always better when Mariah's on the camera, but we just got to get this one up. It's important, and it's taken too long to get it done because I keep going off on irrelevant tangents and rants about history and philosophy and all of the things that interest me. But Antifa, they have said that they feel justified and even obligated to get what they label as fascist, which is just you. I mean, it's just you. If you have a job, if you have some sense of traditional morality, if you don't think the doors of America should be flung open to anybody and everybody, if you believe in borders, really, if you believe in borders, these people don't believe in borders. If you believe in borders, you're a fascist. If you don't embrace all of the various disparate and discombobulated ideologies of the left, from transgendered 8-year-olds all the way up to free health care and the whole 9 yards, you're a fascist, and they want to shut you up. And they have said on national public radio, all right, not on a crazy left-wing website, not in a Reddit subforum, not I mean, they haven't hidden it. It's not in some little, secret email, crazy white paper. It's not some pseudo-intellectuals at Harvard. On national public radio, they came out and said that if you meet their definition of a fascist, you're not allowed to speak. They want to get you fired from your job. They want to take away your children. They want to take away your property, your possessions, and they are willing to kill you in order to silence you. Of course, we all know that the left never stops at silence. They always want to force compliance. The left is about subjugation. Just not opposing them isn't enough. And they've actually said this. They've Antifa in that same NPR interview said that leftists, liberals, are the enemy too, because they're not sufficiently committed to the fight. Anyone who doesn't embrace their tactics and their ideology is subject to violent reprisals and repression in their minds. Now, the question becomes, are these precious little snowflakes able to pull this off? Are they a legitimate threat? On one hand, I say it doesn't matter. If you make a threat, then the people you're threatening have an obligation to take that threat seriously and assume you can follow through on it. And if you can't follow through on it, that falls on you for making a threat you couldn't follow through on. Because if you were capable of making, if they are capable of following through on this threat, and we ignore them, then some of that responsibility falls on us. So whether or not they can is irrelevant. I think there's evidence that they can. The Houston police shooter, I think he got a fair number of cops. I can't remember how many he got off the top of my head, but he was connected to some of these groups that have now gotten enveloped into this bigger umbrella group. These are the people who did the riots in D.C. during the inauguration. These are the people who rioted at Berkeley. So these are all these separate, disparate, disjointed liberal groups that have had all these riots over the past 3 or 4 years. This is them all coming together, and they found a unifying ideology and a unifying philosophy, and they've identified an enemy. That's what makes them, in my mind, different than the normal leftists. The left has always used violence. From ELF to some of those hippie 60s people. The Student Democratic, whatever, Port Huron Accord and all that. The Weathermen. This is nothing new, Bill Ayers. They've been using violence for years. What they've never had that they have now is a unifying enemy, a unifying label for their enemy. Now, it's not just the environmentalists fighting industrialists. It's not just radical feminists fighting the patriarchy. It's not just African Americans fighting racism. Now they've been able to come up with a label that they can group everybody into. You're a fascist. You disagree with me, you're a fascist. If you're a fascist, you don't have a right to life because you're a fascist. You're inherently evil. The label itself is all the justification they need to act. If they can label you a fascist, in their mind they can justify doing anything they want to you. And they will. If the history tells us anything about the left and leftists and the supposed humanists and all the descending ideologies that comes out of humanism and nihilism and atheism, is that they will go very violent, and they will go very dark, and they will shed blood. This is already longer than I wanted it to be, so I will save some of the rest of this for another video. But it's time to get strong, people. The only way to live a peaceful life and avoid violence is to be too strong. To be strong. Weakness invites tyranny. Weakness invites violence. Those types of people are cowards, and they will always pick the easy target. They will always pick the easy target. Don't be the easy target. Thanks, guys.